During the early 1900s, the United States was divided. Although it claimed to be free and democratic, the rights these shared values promised were often denied to most black Americans by the government. When required to join the Spanish-American War, most African American men volunteered in the hopes that it would change the way they and their country were treated. Henry Johnson was a young man who lived in Albany, New York, and was also part of this team. He held different jobs wherever he could find them, but through it all, he stayed confident and cheerful. In 1917, Henry heard the country's call and chose to join the military. Still, Robert couldn't be placed in any of the white combat battalions. Even so, he served in the 369th Infantry Regiment, often referred to as the Harlem Hellfighters. The U.S. military denied black soldiers a spot in its army, so the Hellfighters were attached to the French army instead. Because the French were tired and in need of extra men, they greeted them warmly, equipped, and trained them, and respected them much more than they ever were back home. In 1918, Henry Johnson was in the French forests, dealing with mud, wires, and always being in danger of death. They spent hours in the dark silence of the trench by the Argonne forest. It felt hot and heavy in the air at night. There was a feeling that all was not well. In one moment, everything became loud. Members of the German army carried out a sneak attack on the trench and threw grenades inside. Just near Roberts, one mine went off, seriously injuring him. Henry also suffered an arrow, yet he chose not to back down. With his rifle stuck and all his grenades gone, bleeding and in a pit alone, he did the impossible. He charged. Henry used all his abilities to fight. He used the stock of his rifle for fighting when the bullets were gone. After the connection failed, he got his bolo knife out and started cutting through the troops. Even though he was seriously injured in several spots, he kept up the fight, dragged Roberts to a safe place, and warded off approximately 24 Germans on his own. He used his hands, elbows, and teeth to keep up the fight. His anger was as strong as a storm that would not weaken or be stopped. And after that, it's all quiet again. Germans were forced to escape. Once the sun rose, the aftermath of the fight was apparent. Johnson took down more than 20 foes by himself. He came to the rescue of a soldier and defended their position. Soon after, the French recognized Slocum's bravery by bestowing on him the Croix de Guerre with Palm, which is their highest military award. The situation was very different in the United States. Nothing, no parade, no medal. There was no credit given to the public. Johnson was admired for his bravery in Europe, but he was unknown at home. It's worth noting that most people didn't even speak his name. Because of his serious injuries, he did not receive any disability benefits and found it very difficult to get a job. He attempted to discuss the mistreatment of black veterans, but most people did not listen to him. 1 month short of his 33rd birthday, suffering and mistreated by the country he fought for, he died in 1929. His story was not remembered for many years. We seem to constantly discover more pieces of the past. In the early 2000s, the stories of Henry Johnson and his heroic acts with a knife were uncovered by historians and some veterans. People began to press for Lewis to be given the recognition he deserved. Justice was served decades after the events in France in 1919. Henry Johnson was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor by President Barack Obama in 2015, becoming the highest decorated serviceman. In an official event, The president announced the deceased's name and bestowed on him the honor he was always entitled to. Henry Johnson passed away before his nation gave him the honor of being called a hero. Nowadays, we set aside time to remember. We honor the determination of a man who never gave up, the fortitude of a soldier who was stripped of his rights, yet still offered every last thing to his country, and the name of a hero remembered only by discrimination. It is not only about the events of the war. It narrates the efforts, pride, and hardships that lead to being recognized. It tells of Henry Johnson, the heroic Harlem Hellfighter who finally received the recognition